Blog Talk Radio.
Break it down, chant it down, look. 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 Human life in a tight crunch, hypnotized 9 to 5 world. Yep, that's right, the paradigm sucks. Improvise, force. Break it down, check it out, look. Chant it down, check it out, look. Chant it down, make analysis. Chant it down, all the fallacies. Chant it down, you've been lied to. Chant it down, we see rise. Can we metamorphosize? Like a lamp shedding light to it.
Live from the Hawaiian Islands, it's Chant It Down Radio with your host, Loomis of People Beyond.
Break it down, chant it down, look. Break it down, chant it down, look. Break it down, chant it down, look. Break it down, chant it down, look.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of Chant It Down Radio. I'm your host, Loomis. I'm a true speaker and a conscientious objector, and here to broadcast live right now, coming from the Hawaiian Islands and giving you a perspective possibly unique to what some of you have heard, but just coming out as a true speaker and just giving you the full perspective of what I call the People Beyond perspective. Welcome to Chant It Down Radio. This is episode 15, and have a few now in the archives, so if you haven't been tuning in, there's quite a few different shows now, anyway, and different subject matter to sift through. And we're going to have a show today going through what I call the system tentacles. This will be an ongoing series of shows. This is just the beginning of it all. And what we're going to do is start removing what I call the system tentacles one by one. And before I get into that, I just wanted to let you know that this is also a call-in show. So if you're interested in calling in Chant It Down Radio, the call-in number is area code 347-324-3342. Again, 347-324-3342. And I will plan to answer calls toward the end of this broadcast today if you're interested in chatting live here on Chant It Down Radio. We here, being in the Hawaiian Islands, I've said many shows, we're one of the very last time zones on Earth, so it is difficult for me to get callers at the late hour of the rest of the world. But please, call in, Skype in if you're from another country. Love to have you on, and come on and chant it down. That's what we do here, is we chant down the system, we chant down the life we live so we can see the truth and and live the truth. And it takes a process. It's a process of taking off these layers, and we'll get into that there. But yeah, welcome again. This episode is the start of a series, like I was saying, but there are many other things if you haven't tuned in, and I see a lot of people have been tuning in. Overwhelmingly, the last episode 14, a lot of listens to that episode, and I'm not even quite sure why. It is good, but there's been others as well. Last episode was with our good friends of the show, Double A and Brother Frankie, and they come on periodically as a group of us to just kind of do a round table discussion, what I call a round table chant down. So there's about 4 of those shows now on the archives, as well as some very important guests we've had on, and just some different subject matter that I've got into, and check it out on the archives. And this is now episode 15, so welcome. Anyway, welcome to this special episode. And if you have never tuned in before, as well as another thing that I do on air often is some live lyricism. I've been a lyricist for a long time in my life, and I like to share that every now and then on the air as well. And if you have been enjoying some of the clips I've been playing off of various sources, one of them being my album, we can always use the support. The website, or I don't have a website, but my email that you can contact me on is Stay Roots Music, like roots from a tree, at gmail.com. And there you can get a hold of me. I've been enjoying the emails that I get periodically, get some good emails from people enjoying the show, and I appreciate it. And thanks for listening. And if you'd like to buy the album, help support the artist, help support the show, my album is called Waking the Systemites. It's $11 counting shipping, and I like to ship out the hard copy and get it to you if you're interested in that at all. Not asking for money, because I know there's a million people out there asking for money, but I do this in my spare time, do the radio, and it's nice to be able to get a little support in that way as well. So please support if you can. The emails also and the good things you guys have to say are also supportive too. So thank you very much. All right. Well, this is a start of a series of episodes which I call the System Tentacles. And what are the System Tentacles? Just kind of think of yourself plugged into a machine, and there are many different tentacles or cords that are plugged into your body, and each one has a different purpose. So when you pull those off, you can actually see who you are. The catchphrase, or one of the catchphrases to this show, I say, is we chant down Babylon to the fullest degree, or we take the critique where it needs to go. And that's what we do here on the show, is we take away the fluff and the things that don't matter, and the truth comes out of that, and the truth being an unchanging thing. The truth is the realness. It's the full realness, the roots, we say here, and that's what it's all about. It's getting back to the roots of being a human on planet Earth, and getting away from all the other influences. So these tentacles are like feeding tubes to our body, and they each have their own function in keeping us in this matrix, keeping us in this machine, plugged into the machine. And, well, we're going to take that apart on this show. We're going to take it deep. This show I label as media mind control, and it is a breakdown of the media, the corporate media, and all the sources of information that we get that help shape and mold our way of thinking and our opinions and all those things. So this show particularly is on the media mind control, and just to give you a little idea, that tentacles, some of them are faucets of society, and some of them are belief systems, but we pull them off one by one. And with this whole way of doing this, an important prerequisite to understanding this is to understand what's called compartmentalization. It's a really long word. I've never wrote the word down before. It's actually 19 letters long. That's almost as long as our state fish here, the humu humu nuku nuku apua'a. So anyway, compartmentalization, meaning that it is a way that society is structured, so the things that happen at the top is the full knowledge, while at the bottom people just do the function contributing to that. So with the media, for example, you could have the owners of the media at the very top, and these structured, these high elite who run the world, and they put things through the media that they want you to have, and the lower level people are just doing their job. They're just doing the function that it takes to get their paycheck, and so that's how most of the world, the entire world, is structured in that way, to where everything's run from the top, and everybody at the bottom doesn't really know what they're doing or contributing to. And I think I'm probably going to be just giving a lot of people review that are already into the truth, and especially with this show, because if you're already into the truth and just sort of preaching to the choir, you obviously know that the media is a huge huge feeding tube of lies and manipulation. And so, the media is a huge thing. You can break it down to many in different parts, which we will. But so the people in the middle and at the bottom of a lot of these different tentacles or faucets, they don't really know what they're doing. They're just doing their function, just doing their jobs. And that is, in my opinion, one of the biggest flaws in our society is people say as an excuse they're just doing their jobs. That is that deserves a show on its own. That's all I got to say, because if I get too caught up in that, I won't be able to cover the subject matter here on this show. But just doing your job is actually the biggest crime. Even if you think you're doing the right thing to get your paycheck, if you're contributing to this madness, then, well, you got to really think about what it is that you are doing. But, okay, let's just get into this. So I'm going to be doing a series of shows, and this is number 1, media mind control. But I'm going to go through here and show you what all these tentacles are, and there may not be this order to the shows, and I'm not going to go from this all the way to the end every show. I'm going to have different shows in between that have nothing to do with this. So that's how this radio show goes anyway. If you've been listening, each show is pretty different. I got different guests on. It's scattershot. That's just the way it is, getting guests on and really just trying to cover lots of different things and give you a variety, because I don't want to bore you with just one strong straight through of this system tentacles. We'll have some artists on. We'll have some other interesting guests when they can come on and when I can do a transmission. There are so many. There is so little time in my life, and that's why I haven't done a broadcast in a little while. I've been busy, and this is just a little spare time I can get. So, number 1. System Tentacle is this show here, media mind control, a huge feeding tube to our brains and our way of thinking. Show number 2 in the tentacles would be food and nourishment. I'm going to do a show on eating the right kinds of foods and throwing out the wrong kinds of foods, and getting into nutrition and exercise as well, and just kind of unplugging that. And that will help a lot of clarity come through, getting that nutrient density we need and all that kind of stuff. System tentacle number 3, alcohol genocide. Just the whole way that alcohol has destroyed so many communities, families, indigenous societies, and just how it's embedded so deeply within society. And all these tentacles are so beautifully put into our embedded within our way of life that we don't recognize them as quote-unquote conspiracies. So when people think of conspiracy theories, they do think of these way out there subjects like being controlled by extraterrestrials from the moon or something, or some faraway planet, when really all this is embedded within our lives. And I'm not knocking the other possibility of that. That is a nice part of this perspective too, but I'm talking about the things right now that are just directly in our lives. So alcohol genocide, another system tentacle. Another one is what I call the wealth industry or the health industry. It's an industry pushing vaccines, pharmaceuticals, and these doctors who don't take an ounce of nutrition courses and push junk health. We'll go over the benefits of Western medicine too at the same time, because you can't throw the whole thing out. But the wealth industry. Number 5 would be vanity and ego, caught up in imagery and celebrityism. Celebrity, just the whole look at these other people's lives that don't even matter, and vanity and ego, just everybody caught up in so much in their ego and how they look and their imagery that they forgot about the deeper things about life, the deeper aspects. And this next one would be shallowness and foolishness. I think that's pretty straightforward. But how many conversations do you hear that are just completely shallow? The subject matter is just foolishness. People that aren't really focusing on anything and just kind of junk food feeders of the system, which plays right into the subject matter I'll be covering tonight as well. And Tentacles number 7, excitotoxins. Be going over the different things in our lives that excite brain cells and kill them, that we put in our bodies. That's what excitotoxins are in a quick nutshell. Things like MSG, aspartame, fluoride in your water, and the different things in our foods, and as well as I might even get into a little bit of what the electronics are doing to us too. So another one, occupational hazards. That's another word for jobs, and how we're all so caught up in our jobs trying to make a living, which is kind of something I've already covered on this show, and that is just a continuation. But the fact I don't think a lot of people focus enough is on our jobs and everything. So that's another one that we can cover. And sorry, little strange noises outside. Thought somebody was pounding on the wall. And then another show I call Operation Indoctrination. That's the schools. That's the school system from kindergarten all the way up through college. The whole indoctrination that we take in and that's compulsory for all this schooling, maybe, preschool actually all the way through college. Let's put that in there. So that's another show. And I've already done my small rants about schools. Well, we'll get into a more in-depth conversation into that one. And number 10, sweating the petty and disarming fear. How many small things do we worry about, and how much things we fear that don't even happen, and how captive we are by fear of not surviving, fear of all these little things that we get caught up in, and that's I think a really good show and subject matter too. Just like the jobs that I don't feel enough focus on. Same thing, sweating the petty, the small things, the things that give us a heart attack and then you look back and you forgot them in a year or even a month. And then another show 11 of Tentacles, would be closed-minded religions. The religions that keep people from being free thinkers and expanding their consciousness. And we'll get into that. And it's not a full-on diss on religion itself, because there are some good components within each. But we're going to show how what gets people caught up and stuck, and it's their spiritual growth. All right, and then since system tentacle number 12, technology, good or bad. That will be an interesting one to get that kind of thing out there. Just kind of take a look at where we're progressing here with this technology, this technological age that we're so embraced in now. And tentacle number 13, time control. How often are we controlled by time? How are so much of our lives are gridded into these little segments where we're never really free from time. Big one, huge one. I think that also deserves a lot of light. And 14, the money trance. The trance that we're all caught up in trying to make money, and that will also dovetail into the job show as well. And these shows will overlap because they're all connected within in these different facets of our society. And number 15, nationalism and culture. That'll be a show into the exploration of how we get caught up in the propaganda that our countries put out, and even the propaganda and the prison we get stuck in cultures, good or bad. But if it is bad, no matter what culture, it has to be called out. It doesn't matter. It's going to go beyond the way that people think and if a culture is bad, it's bad. And there is such thing as good and bad. So I'm going to call it out as it is on that show, and nationalism especially, just the pride in your country and that kind of brainwash. We're going to sift through that. And then the left-right paradigm, another show, pretty straightforward. The whole fraud of presidency and this whole ridiculous split dichotomy here in the United States and abroad of the way that people think you're either on this side or that side. We're gonna just throw that whole thing away on that show and show that that's bullshit. And then show system tentacle number 17, no rulers. We're gonna get into the benefits of no government. On this show, we don't believe in government, don't believe in rulers. We don't believe in masters. We don't believe in any of that. This show, we get into anarchism and what real anarchy is, and debunking the things that come to mind when you may think of that. So we'll get into that. And then civilization. That might be the final system tentacle. We're actually going to tear apart civilization, show you what the problems are with actual civilization and how we live on Earth and how we destroy the Earth and how this way of life is an artificially way that was not created necessarily even by possibly humans. Speculation, we'll get into some of that as well. But those are the system tentacles, and as we kind of go and progress, they get a little more deeper and a little bit more progressive. So tonight's show will be pretty simple and straightforward and pretty easy to research as well if you haven't gone there. So I don't know who I'm talking to sometimes on this show. I feel like I'm talking to everybody, anybody who's fully awake to somebody who's fully asleep and in between and all that. So it's really hard to say. But I know that this whole plucking off of these system tentacles benefits all, and it's a way to free yourself and be yourself. Take this critique where it needs to go, so we can really understand who we are, and that'll be the next section along this a new series and set of shows is figuring out who we are, and that brings us down to the people beyond perspective. Who we are people beyond the norm. We are people beyond the way of life that's been set before us to live. We are really high vibrating beings who are being hooked up to this machine, this matrix, whatever you want to call it, the beast, all the names for it. It's what it is. And so, it's important to understand what it is so we can become without it. And that's the purpose of this show too. There are many purposes of this show, but that is a huge one. So that is the people beyond perspective, and we're going to go through it all with these system tentacles. I'm going to have various guests to come on and help me out with some of this subject matter, because by no means am I perfect, and by no means do I have all the answers. I'm just another man talking here, but I do have some answers, and I'm searching for answers, and the truth is something in mind, is what is in mind. So everybody in that is on this path comes to the similar realizations if you keep going, and that's what we're going to do here on the show. That's what we do. We chant it down. So today, media mind manipulation. Oh, the media. It's a huge thing that controls us, and it is many things. It's TV, it's radio, it's magazines, it's movies, it's newspapers, all these different things owned by relatively just a few companies that control it all and control our perspective, because where people get their information and perspectives from the most is media. People go to school and they get these different structures placed in their mind over the years, and for sure that is a huge one too. But school for a lot of people is boring, sitting there. But media, on the other hand, is entertaining, and it allows our guard to be let down, and it allows us to get into a state where it's easy to take it in. So, media, what a great brainwash tool. You gotta give the controllers, the elite, a lot of I guess kudos for what they've done. It sounds crazy to say that, but geniuses have put together this system. They've designed the ultimate brainwash tool right in our homes, the television and internet and everything else that feeds us. What a feeding tube it is. So with the media, of course, there's the corporate media. So when you turn on the television, well, let's just go back a notch here and just think about your day. You go to work or school all day long, and you give your energy and your time, and you give everything that you got for this day. And then you come home, and it's time to unwind. It's time to relax. Maybe to help you relax, maybe you need to grab a 6-pack of beer from the store, or just do whatever it is, take a shower, get in that relaxed mode, and it's prime time. All right, it's 5:30, 6 o'clock. Everybody's works that same damn schedule, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, weekends off. And they get home and they're tired, and they're the most perfect. That's the most perfect time to be programmed. Right there, you're off guard. You're relaxing. Let's turn on the TV. I need something to entertain my thoughts. I'm bored with this reality. So here, you turn on the television. Vision, tell you a vision of many sorts, and well, there's all those channels, and of course those main big ones. You got ABC, NBC, CBS, and all that. Then you got all those, if you have cable, which I don't even have a TV, but we'll get into that. But yeah, you got the basic channels that are without cable. But if you have cable, then you have all those extra channels that show you really nothing but junk. How many times have you just flipped around your cable and for possibly an hour or two? Some people do that, and they just flip it around, nothing, they stop here, nothing. Yeah, and but when you take a look, it looks like there's all these different choices, but really they're not. There's about 5 companies that own the corporate media, and it's pretty simple. The biggest one, or they're all big, but one of them is General Electric. It's the world's 3rd largest company. They own all kinds of stuff. Besides media, they produce almost everything that's material. I mean, this company is huge, from light bulbs to not even electrical things at all, just stuff at Walmart you get, whatever. But in the media, I mean, they own NBC, the History Channel, A&E, the Sci-Fi Channel, even the little, well, it seems like it'd be a little company that does the internet. What's that called? Hulu. They own that, and they own Comcast. They own that. Oh, that just right there, that big chunk, and produce so many things. So there's one company owning just that right there. Think about all the programs. Now, to give a little steps back before I get right forward here is, not every single show and not every single person that you see on TV is part of this conspiracy. In fact, most people, just like I was saying before, are just doing their jobs. They're playing the function within the role. But if they don't do their jobs, or if they do something outside of whatever broadcast company they're with, or bigger conglomerate, then they're not going to have a job, and that's just how it works. And so not everything is a conspiracy on that level, not at all. But there definitely parameters that they have to stay within. And most people that get into those industries don't think of leaving those parameters anyway because that's all they know. But so okay, you got GE, one huge company, one runs all that, all right? Then you got Time Warner. I mean, this thing is Time Warner actually maybe is bigger. They own film companies, they own TV shows, internet. Of course they own all the Turner Broadcasting things like CNN, Headline News, TBS, TNT, the Cartoon Network, HBO, Cinemax. They own all sorts of different shows. They own AOL. I mean, they're just huge company. So you got GE, you got Time Warner, then you got News Corporation. They own everything to do with Fox. They own National Geographic and a lot of magazines, I believe they own as well. So that's another one. And then a huge one, of course, Disney, Walt Disney. And it's hard to think of Disney owning all these things because a lot of people, when they think of Disney, they think of Disneyland, the Disney World, and Mickey Mouse, and all these things on they've been entertaining America for years. But that's just a small part of the Disney Corporation. Disney owns ABC, ESPN. They own 200 affiliated stations. Disney Channel, of course, Lifetime. They reach nearly 100% of the U.S. market. They're insanely huge, and I believe something like 80% of the media is owned by Disney, if I'm not mistaken. Huge company. Okay, and then you got CBS. Columbia Broadcasting. That's, of course, if you're into any research, Columbia, that name is all over the place. District of Columbia, got British Columbia, all named after Columbus, but wasn't his real name, and that's another show another time, but all the symbolism with that and the dove and all that. But then you got CBS, who owns Showtime, the movie channel, the Smithsonian Channel, and CBS and Viacom together actually owned by the same. They're owned by the same billionaire. His name is Sumner Redstone, I think it is. Yeah, that's his name. And Viacom. Well, then you got everything MTV. What a huge shaper of reality, MTV. Being that I grew up in the era when MTV first came out, and that shaped my reality. Music videos. The first time in history music videos were on TV in the mid 80s to late to so on. You just watched music videos, and that seems innocent enough and fine enough. But then you think about who owns all these different record labels and what they want to put out, and well, then it's not so innocent, of course, too. But MTV, a huge shaper of pop culture, and of course that shapes teenagers, especially the most susceptible ones, who grow up in a perspective that they carry with them. And not only do they carry maybe just like a perspective or different aspects from these musicians. Well, really, their record labels. They also have so much programming with MTV over the years that it really isn't even music videos anymore. I don't even think at all. It shows how much I watch TV, which is zero. But they have all these reality shows, of course, and everything else. And what they do is they set archetypes for young preteens and actually even before that with Nickelodeon, who also is owned by Viacom. They set these archetypes and personalities to follow. So that's how deep this really goes. It goes down to controlling our own personalities. Who we pattern our personalities after. I mean, these spoiled brat girls on like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. Then they grow up and and then girls pattern themselves after these girls, and then they grow up these really selfish women. And I mean, I can see that in society, how that's been pushed through. And it's not just, of course, women. It's men and anybody, and many different what do you call it, styles. So, but just in general, just giving you an example of how personalities are even copied and emulated. So people become these archetypes. They're not even that person in reality, but they have become these archetypes through idolizing and watching over the years. So that's another one. But just to finish up, Viacom owns Spike, Comedy Central, BET, TV Land, all of that owned. So you got these huge 5 companies or so, GE, Time Warner, News Corporation, Disney, CBS, and Viacom, all controlling basically every channel that you're going to flip through. And you got to think of them more like, let's say, more like filters, not so much necessarily this massive controlling mechanism, although it is, but they're filters of reality, and each channel sort of gives you a perspective, and it also gives people the illusion that there's so much freedom in the world. Well, you don't have to watch sports on ESPN. Maybe you can turn over to the Discovery Channel and watch that kind of propaganda. And like I say, it's not all 100% a conspiracy, every show, every actor, but stays within parameters. For example, the Discovery Channel, think about that, how much they push the global warming thing, with an unquestioning viewpoint about that. No one's talking about is it happening, or maybe we should question the whole chemtrail thing. No, they don't even, not even mentioned. So that's just like an example of how they're filters of reality. And all these shows and different companies that own them, they're all attached to the global elite. One of the things that I always have had it in my head that someone told me once is big bucks come from deep pockets. So you got to remember that these companies have huge, deep pockets, and who funds everything? Really, the money is, of course, coming from the global elite, the bankers, the people that run the world. And if you're doing a good job, they'll want you. They want you for certain purposes. And even people on those levels are playing it out in a way, in that compartmentalization and contributing to something bigger they may not even know of. So it runs so deep. It really is. But so okay, you got all that. So here you are again, sitting down, watching the television, and you're sitting there, and you're tired from your day. And what most people do when they turn on the TV is they watch the news. The news, let's see what's going on in the world. I've been busy at work all day. I didn't really hear a lot what's going on. Of course, everybody's got the internet now. They can kind of check in any time, which is even more brainwashing than ever. That's why people are more brainwashed than ever, because the internet allows you to take in that information even at work on your break, or even at work while you're working. Oh, let's check out what's on the phone here. Oh, okay. Oh, the government's shut down. Okay, all that stuff. So the day ends though, and you're tired. Best time for programming, news, hammering a perspective to you, telling you how things are, and a lot of news is controlled and given what they're called VNRs, video news releases, which are created by PR firms. And they're given to news companies and newscasters and everything with an unquestioning view, or not even a view, an unquestioning mind, and they just play it. And, because that's the story they heard about that they need to put in, and they're just doing their job on that lower level of compartmentalization. So here they are, releasing these VNR. And what they do is, it's there to help shape public opinions. It's there to help shape and control what they want out there. See, it's like every time I see something in the news, it's like, okay, well, why are they telling us this? It's about asking the right questions. It's like, why are they telling you this, rather than, why do they want us to know this, rather than what's going on? You should be asking, why are they telling us all this, and why do we need to know this particular thing about this event? What about this other thing? It's about asking the right questions. But again, when you're sitting down, tired after a long day of work, no one's really asking any questions. They don't want to think. Perfect time for programming. So there's where everybody gets a lot of their views in politics and what's going on in the world. And that world inside the box is really literally in the box, in that tube, in the TV. That's where people get their perspective. And that's really how it is. They don't think outside of the box. I don't even know where that original saying came from, but I imagine it had to do with the television, So here you have all this being thrown at you. And I'm sure for a lot of you this is just kind of like review or whatever, but just think about it. Just think about how much people think they know off watching the news. People get in fights about this at bars later. If you tell somebody that they're wrong, that the news was wrong, they might fight you because they're drunk. Some stupid idiot trying to defend something he doesn't even know about. Oh, I've seen it so many times, so many arguments at parties. No, this is the way it is, and that'll get into my alcohol genocide topic, but I'll save that for another time here. But yeah, that's just an example of how unquestioning everybody is, though. That they just take it at face value that this is what the truth is. Unbelievable. So they take what's important to them, these news companies, and what's important to the perspective that they're pushing out for the public's consumption. So the media serve those that are providing them with paychecks. In other words, is they're serving masters higher than them, and that's the compartmentalization right there. So take 9/11 for example. You look at that whole story, and maybe there was a few conflicting things at first, and that's where you kind of found the glitches, you could say, like with Building 7 and things that people could have questioned. And now, you got all these news people on board on the same perspective. None of those other things mattered. Drop Building 7. That didn't matter. We don't need to worry about that. We don't even question. Here's the official version of 9/11 in a book. Let's just, this is what's right. Let's push it out. And that's it. No questioning at all. So that's just the news. And think about how much people believe in that. And people put full belief that these people are telling them the truth. And again, these people are just doing their jobs. They're not necessarily lying. Maybe some of them are, and maybe some of them know that they have to lie to keep their job, but they don't really fully probably get the picture at all. They're just reporters, or as David Icke says, repeaters. I love that. That's hilarious. That's all they are. They're just repeating the official version that's been handed down to them by higher hands. And so the news is huge, and that's just one of the aspects of the media. Just think about all these ways that people get their information. And so then you have magazines. Another programming, another easy programmable position that we're in, and I was just doing this a couple hours ago, so I can definitely relate with this one, is when you're grocery shopping and you're standing in line and there's all those magazines on the racks staring at you, and you got to wait in line for a while. So here, let's pick up People magazine. Let's see what's going on with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. We need to know all about their lives. So let's go ahead and just sift through this magazine. oh, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I'm going to buy this magazine. Okay, and so all this is so readily available. Anything in this world, this is what I just kind of came up with my own head. Anything in this world that's readily available and easy to get is because they want you to get it. They want you to buy that. They want you to put your belief in that. And so all these magazines, a lot of them are owned by the Hearst Corporation, which is a huge, huge corporation, and it owns about 15 daily newspapers as well as over 300 magazines. And then, of course, that's a lot of magazines, but also that's just that's just one huge corporation that owns, a lot of magazines. Time Warner owns People magazine, for example, and Time magazine, of course, and all these things. So here's these huge corporations, these huge companies who get their funding from these bankers and everybody else here that are up at the top, pumping pretty much the same perspective across the board, and that is to stay at your job and believe everything that they're saying is real, and just go to work and be good and don't question. Don't question authority, because we wouldn't be lying to you. No way. Jim here on the news and Mary, they wouldn't lie to you. No way. Well, see, that's the problem, is people just take everything at face value. They think that, that's just too big of a picture to fit into their brains, that they could be actually being duped. And that's a huge thing for a lot of people to try to swallow, is that they've been duped, and they're being duped daily, and by the media especially. So okay, you got news. We've gone over that. You got magazines and periodicals, and then you got television itself and all the programs on there. Because after you're done with your news, you're going to go, well, all right, that's enough of that. I'm going to get some entertainment. Because news is oftentimes pretty gloomy, looking at some of the things going on in other countries, and it's depressing, the financial situation, and so it's time for some entertainment. Let's get entertained. Let's go and watch Wheel of Fortune, or let's go and watch, I don't even know if that show exists anymore, but it probably does. But, let's watch some reality TV, as if that's really reality. And people love their television programs. They really do. And I probably sound unfun to a lot of people, because I know that you got to have fun in this life, and I'm definitely always promoting have a great time, enjoy your life, because we don't know when things can change and stuff hit the fan. But what I'm saying is enjoy programming. Fine, enjoy shows. Go ahead and enjoy it, but know and know that they are pushing a certain perspective oftentimes, and they are staying within parameters. And I think even worse is commercials, because here you have a time when you're not fully listening. I mean, a TV show, you might be fully engaged in the plot and or it's funny or whatever, and fine, that's great. But when the commercials come on, you're usually paying less attention. You might even get up and go to the bathroom or something. But some people just sit through the commercials, and what it is in the commercials is embeds. Well, in shows, movies too, but embeds are they're the subliminals put inside of a commercial, for example, to help you to buy maybe some ladies' perfume or guys' cologne. They might put an extra quick little sexual innuendo that goes not into your conscious but your subconscious and triggers something to help you to go buy it. And embeds are all over the place. I mentioned before on this show one good movie to watch about the chemtrail issue and geoengineering and all that is called Don't Talk About the Weather. Besides the what in the world and why are they world spraying, this movie is a little different. What it focuses on that I think is good to take from it, the most important, is how they have put into all the commercials out there these backgrounds of these aerosol clouds and just different parts of it within commercials. If you watch that, you'll see how these embeds work, and it really, you can take that and use it just as a sample of how the embeds work across the whole process of just brainwashing you, whether it's to buy a product, which seems a little more innocent, to getting you used to seeing aerosol in your skies. So television and embeds is a huge thing. And then, of course, there's the subliminal messages and symbolisms and in some of the entertainment industry of the occult and what that does to people and what it does to your subconscious. Some of the entertainers and performers like Madonna or Jay-Z or any of these big entertainers out there that are maybe don't even know what they're contributing to, but often they've joined these mystery schools, and I don't really. It's hard to say, if they're really working for the dark occult straight up, if they're part of it, or what do they know? Who knows? And a lot of times, like I was saying on an episode back with Bob Tuskin, the radio show host, a lot of people really don't know what they're contributing to. Not everybody's in on this. But, again, the subliminals, they do affect us. And a great person to listen to about that is Freeman. We're going to get him on the show for an upcoming show soon about the journey, which is, again, another strand of information out there. I've been trying to put out a couple shows on that already. But, yeah, he has great info on the occult symbolism, just when you drive down the street, these corporations and their symbols. But anyway, that's off topic. And what the television programming, see, I'm a real disser on television, and not as much on Hollywood movies as I am television. The reason why is you got all these commercials and all this stuff being thrown at you with little way to censor it, where when you rent a movie, you often kind of know a little bit more what you're getting into. Not always, of course, but with television, there's so much being thrown at you, and it just seems to me a little darker. I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion, but the kind of entertainment out there, a lot of it's just pure shit, pure junk. I mean, it shows where humanity's at to me when people are entertained by shows like Jersey Shore or just the crap out there, these reality shows with this dramatized music over otherwise no creativity. It's not creative, it's not well thought of, but people buy junk. And it often tells me something about somebody's consciousness that if they're entertained by that much junk, then they probably haven't really gone too deep. And it sounds judgmental and harsh to say, but I think that if you've gone deep enough, you go, this is crap. And so what also television, I think, does a lot to people is it dulls consciousness, and a lot. I've always noticed over the years. I mean, look at television in the 50s or the 60s, and then look how it slowly crept in with the depletion of morals. Design, I think by design, of course, to slowly start saying maybe more cuss words, that now it's okay to say damn, instead before that would have just been like, that would have been taken off the air for saying damn, or showing a little nudity, maybe now it's showing more and a little more, just the depletion of morals, and it does have an effect on society. I think they do it on purpose for multiple reasons, which I'll get into another time, but I think that the depletion of morality is by design to create this junk food population, these bottom feeders of the system, and no better place for it than America. America eats it up like no one else. The Western world eats it up to an extent, but America it eats this stuff up like it's chocolate cake and there's no tomorrow. I just see the people love it. People love entertainment. America especially loves entertainment. It's the entertainment capital of the world. And going to other countries and seeing how the shows that I was brought up on are the same shows that people in Europe and Australia and New Zealand and all the Western world were brought up on, and probably beyond. So America's media industry, entertainment industry, rules the world. I mean, there's very few shows in some of those other countries that are as big as the shows that we have here in America. And so it just shows you that they are it's like the beast pushing out a perspective on the world, and how influential it is. Amazing, just mind blowing. But what it does also is it puts junk and fluff in the forefront of our minds, and it's like if it's easy to obtain, it's probably bad for you, and it allows our minds to be focused on pure crap, worthless crap, and it's good to be entertained. It's good. I'll go over what good entertainment is in just a little bit, and how you can go back into even watching crap with a good perspective and just become your own filter and autodidact. But I always say, I think one of the things that would be to distance yourself the most is distance yourself from full believers of the media. Once you are awake, you don't want to hang out with people that buy the whole thing. It's not that you want to be antisocial, but you don't want to really hang around people that watch TV all day and watch these dumb programs. You just don't. And it's easy to go to somebody's house who is consuming this crap and sit down and be part of the la la la, because TV actually lets off certain waves that put us in a plasma state. They put us in a real suggestible state where anything kind of goes, and we're so entertained. I mean, look at a room full of people watching television or even watching their phones. They're just stuck in this world, and you could take their wallet while they're watching these shows, because they're busy, so focused within. And so that's, I guess what I'm saying is, if a little solution to waking out of the media manipulation is, don't hang out with people for too long that consume junk, because then you kind of become a junk consumer and fall into that plasma state too. There's so much more we can do with our lives. We, instead of living vicariously through these people and sports players and everything on TV, we can actually do so much more. But then, okay, so that's the corporate media. Huge. This giant, could dismantle it for hours. But you get the idea. Then there's the alternative media. Now, there's a so-called alternative media. For one thing, I think some people think if they tune into NPR radio that they're actually getting like the underground news. They're like getting the truth. And that's a bunch of bullshit too, because the NPR, National Propaganda Radio, gets funding from the Rockefeller Foundation, Nike, Bill and Melinda Gates, and it's allocated to lots of college radio stations. That's where you find NPR. And I think, people that sort of see through the crap on the mainstream, they may, buy the fact that a university is teaching more knowledge. So if you turn into NPR, which is kind of connected with all that, then you're getting the truth, and that's far from the truth too. It's funny how they talk on NPR, this really calm manner. NPR, we're giving you the news. I can't really imitate it right now. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but you know what I mean. If you know what I'm talking about here, it's just that whole thing too, and it reinforces this sort of perspective that comes through the college students, that reinforces a lot of things. I'm not dissing college completely because, like I say, there are some great research and knowledge that is, at least for the left brain, okay, but, not throwing the whole baby out with the bathwater, but at the same time, a lot that is pumped through that, it just becomes another archetype. People become an archetype through that. And I mean, have you ever heard them talk about anything outside of the left-right paradigm? Have you ever heard on NPR, hey, they're spraying the skies, they're poisoning our bodies and the air that we breathe? No. So, that's one way to look at things too. It's like, are they really giving out the truth? Once you know the truth, you can't go to those sources. It's controlled too. It's like this more mellower way of control that seems a little bit better. And then, again, big bucks come from deep pockets, so NPR is coming from deep pockets. So then you got the truth media. So where do you go? Where do you go after you've dismantled and you've taken that off? You've taken this tentacle off. You're like, that now that's not on. Where do you go for the news? Well, first of all, my good friend of the show, Double A, he was on last show. He's told me one time we were watching TV and just having the time of our lives, just making fun of the whole thing and just dumbing it down and chatting it down. But he was like, watch the news, and he's like, why do we need to know all this? And that's just it. Why do we need to know all that? Why? It's, again, about asking the right questions. Why do we need to know that this is happening over in Egypt or this and that? We don't really need that much news. And obviously, I don't do a news show. I've said that from episode 1. This is not a news show. But there are shows that are good, and I'm going to give you those links here on the show so that if you want to get connected with the news and what's really going on in the world, then you'll have a better channels to do so. But still, the truth media, I call it, those that are talking about the truth and pumping it out, even being autodidact with all that. Not everybody's 100% right. You still got to, be your own filter and decide for yourself what feels right and what doesn't, but also research it yourself. Don't take everything at face value just because it's coming from the truth media, the real alternative media, because stuff does come through there sometimes that isn't all the way true. And with this conspiracy research, some of it has to be speculation. Nobody has all the answers. So just remember that. And also, I would say, don't be a fanatic. How many of these different takes on 9/11 are there? All these different oppositions, and it's all done by the controllers, most likely infiltrating these movements to divide and rule. And everybody's divided and ruled. And so I would say, don't get too set and in these one views like, 9/11 there was no planes. Anybody who says there was is putting out lies, and all this infighting. And this is breaking up people's conductivity of becoming a full movement. The truth movement really isn't much of a movement because it's been infiltrated, and although there is some great things out of it, don't get me wrong, but the truth movement, it isn't really a movement of people. It's individuals that have seen the truth, and I think in the end all want the same thing. But this infighting has got to go. And so don't be a fanatic. Don't once you get into these different truths, don't just get stuck. Somebody's learning and growing when they're changing and realizing that they made some mistakes along the way. You know that they're not just pumping out this same solid perspective, that they're learning and growing along the way, because truth isn't changing, but to get through the lies takes a lot of effort, and to get the right answers takes a lot of effort, if that makes any sense. But I would say with so don't be fanatical, So don't get too caught up and set in the ways about this is how it is, and flow with it, and remember to listen to your heart. But I think if you're going to go into news and try to get in media and what to listen to, I would say look for things that are affecting our freedom. Look for things that could be encroaching in on your life and becoming tentacles that it could be attached to you in the near future. That is important, and things that really matter in everyday life, and searching for the truth. How important is it to search for the truth? It's so important to search for the truth. So if you're listening to somebody, make sure that they're searching for the truth. And it's not everybody has all the answers. I don't have all the answers, not even close. I always say I'm just another man with a microphone. And so are many other people that are out here doing it. They can only do what they can do. I do this on my very little bit of spare time I have. So and I would say if you're going to go out there and listen to media that matters, look for something that's promoting consciousness. That's what we need to be doing. It needs to be a consciousness shift on planet Earth. So therefore, if you're going to go looking for something beneficial to listen to something that promotes consciousness and doesn't make you afraid, too. I think that there is a lot of conspiracy research out there, documentaries and things that make people that put out fear, and I'm not for that at all. I really don't like that. Actually, it kind of upsets me because it turns off those that are just beginning to awaken. I think it also scares people, and it shouldn't scare people. That's why one of the reasons I really promote Michael Murphy, the filmmaker of What and Why in the World Are They Spraying. I really enjoy his films for a number of reasons, but one of them is they're not scary. Here he's telling you about something that is huge. It's going to affects our lives on the daily, and it's crazy. But you don't hear any gloom and doom music on his movies. It's all real well put together and researched, and it's just telling you how it is through that. And I don't think I've been through screenings with him, and I don't see the audience walking away like, oh, we're all going to die, So that I just, that's as an example, don't get into things that emanate fear, that put out fear. So those are just some suggestions, the suggestions of sifting through the truth media and sifting through the rest of the media. Besides, I'll give you some recommendations in a minute here for some truth media, but have a good time. Watch movies. Go back into after you've figured out the truth and who owns what and what's being pumped out there. It's still okay to watch some show that you might like. I mean, we got to have enjoyment in this life. It's like I kind of feel the same way about that as I do with cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes. I think they're genocide. But some people, that's their little enjoyment. That's all they really got because their life sucks. And they work all the time, a job they hate, and they have that break. That's what they look forward to. Why not make cigarettes a lot cheaper? That's kind of how I feel, even though they shouldn't exist in the first place to be killing us, but people need their enjoyment in this life because we can't just abolish this thing. We can, but it's not going to happen right away, it doesn't seem like, and taken to the critique where it needs to go. So, hey, man, while we're doing this, we need our enjoyment. So movies, entertainment is good, and with entertainment, there are a lot of movies that are really good, because what I like about movies over television is that they came from creation. They came through a lot of thought put into it. A lot of people came together and created something. It's so funny to me when a movie is just pure crap, that millions of dollars went into it, and so many people trying, and they came together and they made crap. That's pretty funny to me sometimes if you think about it, just that alone. But movies come from creation, and especially movies that really promote imagination. I think that's an important thing. If you're gonna, I think some of the what entertainment has replaced television and movies and all is the fire. When everybody was living in tribes, story time, and those came from a huge mythology and imagination, and that's what's missing from a lot of these reality shows is an imagination. They've pretty much doled it down to nothing, and so if it promotes imagination, I think it's great. Watch movies like the Star Wars series or something that came from like another world that has been created in somebody's head, and those things, they're fun. It is a good, safe form of escape, as long as you just know, even if the movie was created by, it has some symbolism in it, or some kind of clues to this or that. Have fun with it, but it's always good to know the truth. Go back into the media after you figured out that it's all crap and it's all lies and manipulation, and then go back in and enjoy it. Like I say, me and Double A, we watch TV because we never do, and turn it on, and we're just like, oh wow, it's just, it was fun to actually to sift through all the crap and laugh at it, because you got to laugh and enjoy life. So that's my recommendation for those out there that are, that I'm not saying don't watch TV, but I don't own a TV. I do own a DVD player, because then I can just put in what I want and more have control on what's being thrown at me a bit more. And I think that's something, because television, once you really watch it, I know that it's true. The more you watch, the more you start believing it, because it puts you in that plasma state. So just get rid of the television. Use it as a monitor for your DVDs or I don't know. I mean, if you have a favorite TV show, I'm not saying don't watch it, but to unplug from this system, Tentacle, you do have to kill your television pretty much, and that's okay though, because you can replace it with your own mind and creativity and mine those things out of you that you've forgotten about. You used to have an imagination. Where'd it go? Taken by the indoctrination system, taken by people like Walt Disney that control your imagination. So here, take it back. Take it back. It's you. You have to get there, and sometimes you have to take ancient medicine to get back there. But do whatever you can, and it's an important thing too. So that's my take on the media, and of course I could keep going on and on and on, because there's so much that controls right there. It shapes our very thought patterns, our very it infiltrates our very consciousness. And so when you rip this feeding tube off and examine it and look at it all and realize what it's doing to you, that's a huge tentacle attached. That one, I would say, if there was a map of all these things attached, that one's attached to probably like the back of our brain, somewhere on our neck, just, if there was such a thing. Just straight feeding tube right to our brains and controlling our perspectives. So that is what's going on here. So as far as like if you want to get into news, some information on consciousness and some truth, then I do have some recommendations for that. And if you don't already know, which I did have on, I believe it was episode 12, the radio show host, Bob Tuskin. Great guy. Listen to episode 12. Went You know, he has his own show Monday through Friday on RBN Network, and he goes over some of the news, and he goes over a lot of health tips, and he covers the whole board really, and that's a great way to get what's kind of going on, you know. And he's an autodidact. He takes things apart and examines them, and he's good, and he's got a fun show. Listen to his show if you want the kind of news thing. I think if you want a little more look at consciousness and whatever it all across the board as well is the filmmaker Max Egan, who I had on episode 10. And if you haven't seen his movies, I've already said in many now episodes, you got to see those movies. The Awakening, The Calling, or Transformation. Those are amazing display not only of visuals but of information. It's all in there. It's great, and it's entertaining, and it doesn't leave you scared. It doesn't leave you feeling, at least it doesn't leave you feeling bad at the end. It reminds us that we're conscious beings, and he takes it deep. And so he also has a radio show, Surviving the Matrix. Go to his website, The Crow House. And that guy, we'll have him back on the show. He's an Australian filmmaker, if you haven't ever heard of Max Egan. And I promote the researcher David Icke. Some people diss on David Icke. They think that he's maybe working for Big Brother, or that he's got some kind of other agenda, or he's trying to make people believe in reptilians, and that's not the truth, or whatever like that. You know what? David Icke is responsible for a lot of my wake up, and I give him a lot of credit. I know that he's a really hard worker. I've seen him live before, and I don't see anything wrong with David Icke. Yeah, if it is a hard pill to swallow, some of the things he has to say, but he has done his research, and he's gone where the information has taken him. You don't have to believe all that, but he's put a lot of things into truth, and I have to say that he doesn't do a radio show, but he does do talks you can listen to, and articles on the truth, and I think he's putting together a TV show, so that should be pretty interesting. So David Icke, don't throw it out, not at all. I think he's one of the most amazing people out there promoting the truth. He's dedicated his life to it, and I believe he comes from the heart. And then another researcher I was talking about a little bit ago, Freeman Fly. We're going to have him on the show. I didn't get in touch with who he was till maybe like 2009, I think it was. So I'd already been awakened to everything pretty much, but what he did is he showed me he was like a voice out there that just kind of, a nice calming voice to this whole crazy situation we're in on planet Earth, and that really to be alive again. And he just dovetailed with everything I've already learned in life, and it was just nice to hear that. But he has a lot of information on the symbolisms and the whole extraterrestrial bit too, and I recommend listening to Freeman. I don't think he has a radio show anymore. I don't think so, but I think he's going to do a TV show with the David Icke show channel I'm talking about, if I'm not mistaken. But listen to the archives of Freeman. We'll have him on the show and when he can get on. Another radio show that I think is excellent is What on Earth is Happening, hosted by Mark Passio. Mark Passio has taken this deep as well. He takes this really deep and analyzes it far better than I can do, anybody almost I've ever heard. He is got an excellent show, and he does it periodically. I'm not sure but just Google up What on Earth is Happening. No question mark. Mark Passio. I highly recommend him, and he chants it down. And awesome show on everything esoteric and more. So get in touch with that. And there's some good websites to go to if you want to get into some of the health aspects. Naturalnews.com is good. You can get letters from them, and also Dr. Mercola. Dr. Mercola, a natural doctor, a lot of health tips and things like that. And so those are just some people that I promote through this alternative media. And no, I'm not attached to any sort of funding by anybody who I've had on this show. I don't even make money off the show. I actually pay to do this show. But this is a way for me to vent. This is a way for me to spread the truth and do what I can in from my position. And so when I bring on these guests, no, they're not paying me. And I think one of the other problems that's in the truth media is everybody also starts to think that somebody's a shill and somebody's working for as an agent and doing this and that. I mean, there is probably that within it, I imagine. But here's a way of looking at it. If they're putting out the truth is the truth. Even if you think that somebody's putting out the truth, a little different strand of the truth, it would not derail people away from the truth that far. If you see the truth, it's the truth. It doesn't matter. People get in so many little fights. Again, this fanatical thing about who's really controlling it from the top. Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting and all, but I don't really care. How about who's controlling, who's keeping this thing alive? Who's feeding it? It's people that you're sitting around every day, that you walk by on the streets, that you're driving by in traffic. Those are the people that are holding this thing up. And those people at the top, human, non-human, or whatever, we don't really know hardly anything because they're at the top, we're at the bottom. Who cares? We're holding this thing up. When we stop holding it up, it collapses. And that is what you got to think about here is, well, we need to penetrate the masses around us. And if someone's doing that, not putting out fear, that's a good way to kind of just go about it. And really, what could be more important than the truth? What could be more important to getting down to the roots that we need to be? Because we only got this life on planet Earth, and I know that we have beyond. I don't believe in one life. I'm not an atheist of any sort. I believe that this is just an experience right now, but we only have this experience right here that I know of, and why not live the truth? Why not go for the real? Why live the lie? So, it's good to wake up, break stagnation, and remember to love everybody around you, because that's the most important thing. Don't lose track of love. I don't mean to sound like some kind of hippie or something, but that's just it. People make fun of love and the simple things, but we got to love everybody. And sometimes if they don't get the truth or they're resisting it, it's also love to tell them. And I've said this on other shows. Some people need a slap in the face of harsh reality, and some people need little teaspoonfuls, so they just get a little bit to assimilate here and there. People have their different starting points, but love them. Love your family. Make sure give them a hug and tell them you love them. You don't know what life tomorrow is like. We only know today. So here we are. I'm plugging the first system, Tentacle, the media, and the media mind control and everything that is controlled by it. Try to figure out, who's funding what. If you're reading a book even, and it's pushing out a perspective, just question it to see. It's okay to question. You don't have to be a paranoid freak. Just question, where it's coming from. It's okay, because we should be doing the same thing, just like food. You're eating an apple. You're like, where'd this come from? Oh, it came all the way from South America, and I'm living in Hawaii. Maybe I shouldn't be eating this from so far away. Question what you're putting in your body and what you're putting in your mind. And that would be the media. It's the media mind control manipulation. And so there it is. System Tentacle number 1. Perhaps we'll come back to this more with some more information and maybe a guest to flesh this out even more, but I think you get the general picture with this one. One of the easiest things to explain, and it's actually a real easy thing to unplug from. All you got to do is quit watching and believing and unquestioning and start living life. Instead of sitting and looking at a screen, let's live our life. Let's actually experience real life and not through the screen. So that's my message to everybody. No, I'm not perfect. So when I'm talking about especially some of these other tentacles, I too get caught up in these things. So don't think that I'm here telling you that I don't do a lot of this and that everybody else does. But with the media here, yeah, I've unplugged from it, and I feel like a stronger person. I feel healthier in mind and even spirit, and I just feel more centered, and I don't even care to watch TV anymore. It's not what I want. And I think that would be the same for anybody who starts to realize what the truth is. Suddenly the truth becomes more important, and the lie doesn't look so great to live. So that's how we chant it down. Chant down the system. Chant down the media and the mind control that it creates. It takes years and years to deprogram from what they have programmed within us, especially through the media. And I'm sure that I'm not fully deprogrammed at all from this, but trying, and that's all we can do is try. Well, that's about all I have to say about that. I just ranted for about an hour and a half here talking about this particular issue, and if you guys have any calls you'd like to make out there, there's only a couple minutes left in the show, but still like to hear from you. If not, give me an email. Again, it's stayrootsmusic@gmail.com, and I like to hear from you. I don't do Facebook. Please don't make it to where I have to do Facebook. I don't want to, and spread this through word of mouth. Some of the best things are spread word of mouth, and this show is growing, and a lot of people are starting to listen to it and enjoy it, and I appreciate that. I'm nothing special. I'm just here telling you life from Loomis and the people beyond perspective. So enjoy your evening or your tomorrow, everyone, and until next time, keep chanting it down. Be a warrior, not a worrier.
Right here, you know you get farther. Mountain streams and warm ocean water. Found relief, my focus is stronger. Boundaries are broken in progress. How you think depends on how caught up. Doubt your dreams, defeat your high calling. Boundaries high within the green forest. Now it's time for us to move toward it. Out right here, you know you get farther. People beyond.
Are you awake now? Are you awake now?
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up!
Waking up.
Are you awake now? Are you awake now?
To confirm?
Are you awake now?